As a member of the Committee on the Rights of the Child, I would like to thank the Council for dedicating its annual day to the crucial topic of early childhood development. Let me begin by stating that even though technically the Convention on the Rights of the Child only covers the rights of children from birth, it is a glaring reality that today early childhood is recognized as a period that runs from conception to birth, covers the first 2 years of life, and it extends beyond until roughly 5 or 6 years old. There is so much happening that I'm afraid that I'll be superficial in my remarks. As an antidote, here is my conclusion and plea. For human societies to thrive in peace and for all its members' rights to be respected all through life, we must invest much more of our attention and resources in early childhood. The committee must also do more to lead the way. Anything less amounts to clipping humanity's wings. We often say that all child rights are of equal importance. Yet, Article 6 of the Convention trumps them all as it calls on states parties to ensure, to the maximum extent possible, the survival and development of the child. Logic commands that for child development to occur, the child must survive. And for a child to develop favorably, dare I say harmoniously, its identity must be recognized and registered. And just as importantly, a stable and secure environment must be provided to the child, his or her caregivers and community for good enough nurturing care of the child to take place. In the committee's general comment on implementing child rights in early childhood, we specify that this entails the provision of comprehensive, rights-based, coordinated multi-sectoral strategies and services that states parties must plan and implement across departments and central and local levels. Let me plug in that there must be special consideration for marginalized communities of children and children with disabilities and their families. Also recall that Article 27 of the CRC recognizes that children are entitled to a standard of living and social security adequate for their development. Briefly shifting to protection, for obvious reasons, early childhood is a risky period of maximum vulnerability. It would make sense to expect that the greatest protection efforts are directed at younger children. And the Special Representative has called on investments in programs to this aim, and so has the Pathfinding Global Alliance on Ending Violence Against Children. At last November's Bogota Conference on Ending Violence Against Children, hundreds of pledges were made by states and organizations. Yet, running through a large sample of these pledges, I did not pick up on many pledges specifically targeting early childhood. This despite being briefed at the conference, courtesy of UNICEF, on the incredibly dire developmental consequences of so-called adverse childhood experiences and the toxic stress that occurs and is produced that affects brain development during one of, and it's been mentioned several times, but it is truly biologically amazing, this neuronal growth spurt that occurs during the early years. Some adverse experiences, armed conflict, forced migration, poverty, parental discord, and so on. And now participation, a fundamental principle of the Convention. Infants, toddlers, preschoolers do not participate in the same way as older children. Child rights mainstreaming does not favor the youngest of us. Any toddlers in the room? It takes a lot of creativity and human resources for early childhood participation. Since I'm on the committee, the youngest child that participated physically in Geneva was 8 years old, and this was exceptional. But I'm also aware of wonderful projects that engage with very young children and even babies in terms of participation. My time is slipping away, so let me highlight a few final issues. Young children's right to a safe, clean, healthy, and sustainable environment. Remember, early childhood straddles young children alive today, but also future generations for the children that are still in gestation. And that's a period of maximum vulnerability for environmental toxic dangers. Young children's rights and the digital environment. Early childhood is full of privacy violations. For example, connected diapers and webcam observation in child care centers. An exciting advance is the work the Council initiated last year on a possible optional protocol to the Convention on Early Education. And I hope the work will progress rapidly. Last, one of the most important rights that requires a lot more implementation efforts from all of us in any capacity is ensuring and enhancing the child's right to play in early childhood. As adults, we are more work than play. Just look at you. Early childhood is almost all play, and it is probably the best ingredient for harmonious development. Let's invest in early childhood development. Thank you very much for your attention.